As usual, the NFL draft has reshuffled the depth charts, and while fortunes have improved for some, others have been sent to scour couch cushions and yard sales looking for deep value. But where can such value be found? I'm going to tell you, that's the whole point of this video. Hello everybody, welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus, that's Kevin. In this episode, we can't shut up about new opportunities, which sounds like I'm pitching a cult. And I am. The cult of fantasy football. Hallowed be thy skin. We're going to look at every opportunity-rich situation. We'll explore the vets, draft picks, and undrafted rookies that have a chance of being fantasy relevant for your team. This is how I ended up snagging Darnell Mooney, Elijah Mitchell, and James Robinson late in drafts. Stick around. We're going to help you find them too. This will be the most important video of your entire life. That might be a bit much. What we're looking for is value. Who's going to be worth more tomorrow than they are today? And I do that two ways. I look for talent and opportunity. Either one could lead to some fantasy value, but it's the combination of the two that increase the likelihood, or decrease the risk, of a wasted roster spot. A lot of these picks will require some patience, but some you're going to want to sell. We'll get into that. Let's look at some running backs. The Las Vegas Raiders running back room has everything I look for in a sneaky value situation. Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake are the entrenched starters, but Josh Jacobs is not uber athletic, and a little disappointing. The Raiders have declined his fifth-year option. Kenyon Drake is more athletic, but he's currently 28 years old, and who knows, he might even be a surprise cut prior to the season for money reasons. Not to mention, there's been a regime change within the team. Enter Zamir White, a fourth-round draft pick out of Georgia with fantastic speed and a stupid good RAS. 6 foot, 214 pounds, runs a 4.4. He's fast. He's got some wiggle, and he's a load to take down. I would not be at all surprised if he contributes in his rookie year. The only knock on White is he doesn't offer a lot in the passing game, or we haven't seen it. So while I do think he's the future of the ground game for the Raiders, I expect he'll be joined next year by a pass-catching back. White could be a great first and second down back, but lacks the PPR value you'd want from a true RB1. No one knows what head coach Mr. Takesy-Backsies is going to do, but it's possible his intent is to employ a platoon like in New England, which would make Zamir White the LeGarrette Blount, except way faster. He's gonna be a good add to your Dynasty roster, and he'll come a little cheaper than someone like Kenneth Walker. Walker does have receiving skills, but Zamir White has the speed to break big gains and the power to get the goal line looks. Not to mention, I think he's on a better team. Landing spots matter. Last year, after J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill all got the boo-boos, the Ravens' ground game was forced to rob the graves of Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman, and I want to say Benicio del Toro, maybe? In theory, J.K. Dobbins is back healthy, and he's gonna be the stud to lead this backfield for years. That's the plan. Gus Edwards has long had a productive handcuff role in Baltimore. You'd think they'd want him back too. I've heard rumors of him potentially being cut to save money, but I don't buy it. He's worth more than the contract they're paying him, or at least he's worth more to the Ravens than, say, another team. I think Gus is safe here. Recently, they signed Mike Davis, but don't worry about that. That's likely just off-season insurance. Both Dobbins and Edwards are coming off injury. It made sense to bring someone else in. It made more sense to draft someone. And they did. Tyler Beatty, out of Missouri, 6th-round draft pick, 5'8" and just shy of 200 pounds. He runs a 4.4. That's not a lot of draft capital, so why am I interested? Well, if Dobbins or Edwards need some extra time to convalesce, Beatty could be the guy in the mix. Justice Hill has never done much, and he's coming back from injury too. The Ravens have been a two-headed running game for years, so opportunity is here. Whether it carries into the season, who knows, but Tyler Beatty is good. He profiles as a scat back due to his size and receiving skills, but he can pound it between the tackles. Tyler Beatty represents a great value pick late in the draft for the Ravens, and I think he does the same for fantasy football as well. He's never gonna be the guy. He's gonna be the rotational guy with PPR upside and the fill-in. And if that doesn't sound appealing, just remember that this is the Baltimore Ravens, one of the runningest teams in football. Tyler Beatty should go off the board late. Don't rush to grab him, but grab him when he falls to you. I can't imagine any other backs near his ADP provide anywhere near as much upside. The Arizona Cardinals made their choice, allowing Chase Edmonds to walk and keeping James Conner. It couldn't have been that hard a choice. Conner had a fantastic season. He's set up for continued success. And they still have Eno Benjamin, whom I've always liked more than his 7th round draft status. He could actually be a valuable asset this year. In fact, if Eno was available in your Dynasty league, go grab him. Right now. That's not where I was going with this, but fuck it, pick him up. Anyway, behind a 27-year-old James Conner coming off a career high and 5'9", 7th round draft pick Eno is this year's 6th round pick, rookie Keontae Ingram out of SC. He's 6 foot, 220 pounds, runs a 4.5, and his RAS is pretty damn good. He's athletically gifted. I'm a little down on Bucs running back Rachaad White compared to most, and I'm a little higher on Keontae Ingram than most in the fantasy community. What I've wondered is, what's the delta between these two? To me, they're very similar. I've seen Ingram referred to as a poor man's Matt Forte, but I keep wondering if he's not just discount Rachaad White. Ingram's athleticism is not in doubt, but if he's going to jump Eno Benjamin on the depth chart this year, he's going to need to have the mental aspect of the game locked down, because Eno already does. That's why I said grab Eno if you can. Ingram is the most physically gifted runner on the team right now, but he'll never touch grass or leap the entrenched starters without showing he's more than just athletic. The Cardinals picked up Hollywood Brown, but they lost DeAndre Hopkins for 6 games and Christian Kirk in free agency. I don't know if they're going to run more or not this year because of that, but if they do, they're going to need more than just Conner. And while Eno Benjamin has the edge today, he might not tomorrow. Keontae Ingram is only 22 years old. He's got low draft capital and expectations. The opportunity here is he takes a good chunk of the backfield. The risk is they draft someone again next year, but for where you draft him, it's worth the risk to find out. The Kansas City Chiefs backfield is a very confusing place, filled with unknown opportunities, like an orgy for a blind person. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has continued to underwhelm, which led them to bringing in former Buck Ronald Jones to co-underwhelm, I guess. Ronald Jones failed to reach 1,000 yards in any of his first 4 seasons. Maybe this is his big shot. Andy Reid's offense can make any running back more valuable than they actually are. Or so I'm told. One could easily make a case for Ronald Jones. But that's not what we're doing here. To be clear, I'd rather invest in a stiff drink than Ronald Jones. It would cost less and last me longer. If I'm buying into this backfield, it's only at the steepest of discounts, and I'm selling high the first chance I get. So who is the deep value? 7th round draft pick, Isaiah Pacheco. Usually, you can ignore the 7th round draft pick from Rutgers, but Pacheco has something none of the other running backs on this team do. Speed. He runs a 4.37. That's far and away the best in the running backs room. And his RAS is well above average. The Chiefs love speed, and they lost a lot of it with Tyreek Hill gone from Miami. They tried to replace some of it by bringing in Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but Pacheco offers a level of speed they haven't had with their run game in a long time. He's also a good blocker and a decent receiver, meaning even the occasional dump-off pass could turn into big yardage. Despite his dumpster round draft capital, I imagine by the start of the season, some hype will build for him. Grab him as late as you can, and flip him before next season's draft. I think Pacheco could flash this season, maybe even peak. I'd look to capitalize on it. Don't mistake my Pacheco love as anything more than infatuation. If he peaks, sell high. Not because he's not good. It's because the NFL shows investment in draft capital and big money. The Chiefs have committed neither to him. I'd flip him before next year's draft. Realize those gains while you can. Don't get greedy. These are my top conviction upside picks for the position. There's more. I'm still big on second-year man Khalil Herbert, Kylan Hill, and there's a couple of rookie UDFAs worth a look. I've got a full list for you. I'll link it in the description. Download it for free. Look into these guys and tell me what you think. Honestly, I don't do this for you. I would do this sort of thing whether I had a YouTube channel or not. I'm obsessed. But it's fantasy football and not like murder or whatever, so that's nice. Plus, sharing is caring. So if you find this sort of stuff helpful or you like something added, please let me know. Let's get the wide receivers. Kadarius Toney, New York Giants. I really don't like him. I've been upfront about that. He runs funny. What do you want from me? But he has a lot of potential. First, look at the depth chart. Sterling Shepard is 29. Kenny Galladay is 28. Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson offer speed as well, but none profile like Toney. He's got an RAS of 9. He runs a 4.4. He's got first-round draft investment. He didn't get on the field a lot as a rookie, but in Week 5 against the Cowboys, he had 10 catches for 189 yards. He made cornerback Trayvon Diggs look silly. He was shoving defenders to the ground, and he could have had a lot more. He was stopped at the 2-yard line on 2 different drives. People were comparing him to Tyreek Hill.
That's high praise!
But if expectations are so high already, why is he on this list? Value. I think Toney is going to exceed his expectations this year, maybe even next year too. However, we have a regime change with the Giants. Toney was rumored to be on the block because of it. They even drafted Wan'Dale Robinson to replace him. Possibly. Whether it be through injury, off-the-field stuff, or other, I don't trust Toney. He's a momentum-based stock. Let him get a bunch of big games under him, really pump up that value, and then flip him. I see him providing a lot of fantasy return early, but in the long run, I really don't want him on my team. The Browns brought in Amari Cooper and drafted David Bell in the 3rd. Bell's got a lot of hype on him. He tested worse than expected at the Combine, but only slid a round or so because of it. While the Browns have been a run-first team lately, with Baker Mayfield gone and Mr. 22 slinging the rock, they're expected to see a lot more air yards. That's likely to increase the production of every wide receiver in Cleveland. But I'm not buying David Bell yet. I'm a skeptic. I need to see him as a pro first. Make me a believer. Last year's 3rd-round pick, Anthony Schwartz, could get some work as a field stretcher. It's a big difference going from an injured Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson. But if I'm planting my flag on any receiver in Cleveland, it's going to have to be Donovan Peoples-Jones, a 6th-round draft pick from 2020's draft. He's got the ideal profile, 6'2", 212 pounds, and he runs a 4.4. He's a very good receiver that slid down draft boards due to character concerns. Concerns I haven't heard jack about since he's been in the league. He's only shown a flash or two since he's entered the league, but I blame that on a mediocre quarterback and being stuck behind Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. Peoples-Jones could turn into a very productive wide receiver 2 this year. He's still only 23 years old. If he builds a good connection with Watson, this could be productive for years. Of course, all of this is contingent on the Browns leaning heavily into the pass with Deshaun Watson, but short of a suspension for, all the stuff. Why? Sweet fancy Moses, why would they bring him in and pay him all that money just to hand the ball off to Nick Chubb? Amari Cooper is expensive, everybody else is unproven, and Donovan Peoples-Jones is primed to outperform his ADP. Back to Baltimore, and I will admit bias on this one. I was a big believer in Devin Duvernay coming out of Texas in 2020, but so far, not a lot to show. He's got speed for days, and he's not one of those frail little speedsters. He's got good hands. Last year, he caught 70% of the passes thrown his way, which is the highest rate on the team for players with 10 or more targets. I thought he was pro-ready coming out of college. He was double toe tapping in the end zone for touchdowns. Unfortunately, he was stuck behind Hollywood Brown, Sammy Watkins, and Rashad Bateman, and the Ravens are a run-heavy offense. When they do throw, it's usually at tight end Mark Andrews. If there's room for one wide receiver to thrive, it's likely to be Bateman. So yeah, this one is likely to blow up in my face. I'd like to believe that Devin Duvernay will get all the vacated targets left behind by Hollywood Brown, or all the deep balls that Sammy Watkins dropped because he forgot how hands work. That's what I'd like to see, that my unyielding belief in this guy will at last be rewarded. The truth is, it probably won't. Because even after all that, the Ravens will probably bring in Jarvis Landry or Odell Beckham Jr. or Sr. Why must you vex me, Harbaugh? Damn it, John! Is it John or Jim? I always get that mixed up. Which one is... Why couldn't they name one Pedro? Harbaugh. Meanwhile, in Buffalo, I was prepared to name Gabriel Davis a rising asset, but I don't think he's undervalued anymore. He ended last season with a breakout 4-touchdown game against the Chiefs. Stephon Diggs is the clear wide receiver 1, and Davis will continue to make big plays, especially in the red zone as the wide receiver 2. He's built a great connection with Josh Allen. Jamison Crowder joined the team. He should fill whatever Cole Beasley-shaped hole was left behind. The hype on Davis and the addition of Crowder should make for a sneaky play at rookie 5th rounder Khalil Shakir. 6 foot, 196 pounds, runs a 4.4, and he is legit. And honestly, I don't expect much from him in his rookie year. The Bills run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, but I just don't see him making much of an impact as a rookie outside of an injury in front of him. I'm stashing him for next year because he's just too good, and Josh Allen is just too good. And I want a piece of that passing offense for the next few years. Shakir is the cheapest, best option. I know they picked up James Cook. That is an upgrade, but I still see them passing a ton. Shakir has deep speed, good fight after contact. He's good with contested catches and shows speed around the corner on jet sweeps. He's versatile. And I can't imagine, even in rookie drafts, he's going very early. I'd take Shakir over receivers that were actually drafted before him. You'll have to play the long game, but it'll be worth it. The last receiver on my list is another rookie, and yes, it's another run-first team. I mean, wouldn't you be if you had Derrick Henry? But King Henry is 28, with a lot of mileage. It's not going to last forever. Whether it's Ryan Tannehill chucking the ball or Malik Willis, I think this team is going to go through some changes over the next couple of years when it comes to their identity. If you're looking for a cheap option here that will outperform their investment, it's not Treylon Burks, and it's not 30-year-old Robert Woods coming off an injury. I'm looking at 5th rounder, rookie 5th rounder Kylan Phillips out of UCLA, 5'11", $189. He's not physically imposing. In fact, his metrics don't pop at all. So why? Why Kyle Phillips? Well, despite some mediocre metrics, his RAS is actually fairly good. And what drew me to Kyle Phillips before the draft was not his physical stats, but his college tape. The dude was a baller in college. One of those lunch pail, every down workers who just gets the job done. Nothing flashy. He just keeps beating you. He's been compared to Hunter Renfrow. Their size, weight, and speed are nearly identical, but Kyle Phillips actually measured a better RAS. Not that I'm basing this pick on metrics. I'm not. Watch his tape. If he can continue to do what he did in college, in the NFL, he's a fantastic late-round pick. Phillips is the kind of guy who could become a volume play, a PPR machine. I'm also high on Chargers' Josh Palmer, Seahawks' Bo Melton, and a few others. Though I don't currently see the path to playing time, but sometimes you just gotta roster the talent and be patient. When it comes to tight ends, it's mostly rookies, and I hate to beat the drum on rookies at this position. They're not gonna pay off this year. This is forward thinking for the next 2 or 3 years. Unfortunately, that's where the opportunities lie. I can't find a rostered tight end at a discount. I'd love it to be Fant, Kmet, Troutman, but I hate their situations and their cost. We're a year too late for a discount on Dalton Schultz and Dawson Knox, and too late to trade for Albert Okwuegbunam. So the way I see it, the best bet to roster value is stashing rookies and finding projects. And by projects, I mean players who started at a different position and transitioned to tight end. Darren Waller, Logan Thomas. Sometimes this actually works. Trey McBride, Arizona Cardinals. He was a 2nd-round draft pick, so expectations are high. He will be coveted by dynasty managers. He's not walking into a starting role. Zach Ertz is still there, but Ertz is 31 and has already shown signs of decline. If you have a Zach Ertz or another aging tight end, this is your best bet for a quick turnaround at the position. McBride is inevitable. The Indianapolis Colts have a much more attractive situation. Mo Alley-Cox is the current starter. He's 28 years old, and I don't think he's that great. He's fine. He's just okay. Behind him is Kylan Granson, who last year everyone was all excited about. He was a 4th-round pick that converted to tight end, but he's 6'1", so I said no thank you. I like my tight ends at least 6'5" with 8 arms and wheels instead of feet. Jelani Woods is one of those. They grabbed him in the 3rd this year. 6'7". He's so tall he can high-five God after every touchdown. Unless, of course, God is a filthy Jaguars fan. Even with all his super cool metrics, Woods won't be on the field immediately. He transitioned to tight end in college. There's probably still some learning to do, especially at the pro level, but when he gets there, he has a lot of potential. I can't expect that Matt Ryan is still going to be there to unlock his potential in the future, but it's worth the risk. I mean, it's not like the Colts are bad at drafting quarterbacks, right? I mean, they're not the Browns. Daniel Bellinger, New York Giants. A 4th-round pick, and he's got a lot of athleticism. He's 6'5". Physically, he's exactly how I like him. I love his metrics, no qualms there, but his tape wasn't that impressive. So this pick is boosted a bit by the depth chart around him. Currently, the Giants' tight end depth includes Ricky Seals-Jones and Jordan Akins. Seals-Jones is 27 and Akins is 30. Bellinger is still only 21. If you like your Dynasty tight ends young, tall, and athletically gifted with potential to climb a shaky depth chart quickly, Daniel Bellinger is that dude. Just hope he doesn't drop the ball like Evan Ingram. I wouldn't put money on Daniel Jones being his quarterback next year, but a good tight end is often the outlet for a rookie QB, so even if there is a switch at QB, it won't necessarily damage his stock. And let's stay in New York because the Jets took Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State in the third. Wait, didn't the Jets just trade for CJ Uzomah? Heck yes they did, but he's 29 years old. That's as good as dead. And the rest of the tight end room is nobody of consequence. Ruckert is just 21 years old. He's 6'5", comes from a big school program, and depending on how you feel about Zach Wilson, could have a big opportunity in front of him in just a year or two. Ruckert's college production was arguably hampered by his teammates, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. He has the potential to pair well with Zach Wilson for years, and if that pays off, I want shares of it. I've been long on this tight end class for a while now, and a lot of them landed in good situations. I still like Charlie Kolar too, but being stuck behind a 26-year-old Mark Andrews is nothing I want to buy into. Or maybe it is. What if Mark Andrews were to miss a couple of games? Could Charlie Kolar fill in for a few weeks and be a top 10 tight end, if only for a few weeks? Because Charlie Kolar is talented, athletic, and on a team that features the position. Hell, that might just be the sneakiest value play of all. That's all for now. Check the link in the description for the full list of names. Thanks for watching Shut Up Football. We'll catch you next time. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
So who is the deep value? Let's get to some wide receivers. Damn it, John! Our balls.